The doctor's paper being late.
I know. We're good. We just decided.
he wasn't here.
What?
I forgot he wasn't here.
Thank you for coming out and attending this meeting with us tonight. All right, we are going to stand. We're going to have a moment of silence, and then we're going to do pledge allegiance to the flag. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor James.
Here.
Vice Mayor Jones.
Here.
Commissioner Ambrose.
Here.
Commissioner Jameson is absent. Commissioner Williams.
Here.
Thank you. All right, can I have a motion on the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda as printed.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and second that the agenda be used as printed. All those in favor respond with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign, please. Motion carries 4-0. All right, let's move down to our minutes for September 20th meeting.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we approve minutes for September 20th, 2021 Commissioner meeting.
I'll second that.
All right, it's been properly moved and second that the minutes from the commission meeting for 7/20/2021 be approved as printed. All those in favor respond with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. All right, minute approved, motion carries 4-0. All right, moving down to presentation and discussion items. Number 1. Presentation by George Glover of Florida Rural Water on the drinking water system physical sustainability and asset management plan and the wastewater physical sustainability analysis and asset management plan. Bruce Gillingham, Assistant City Manager.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Commission. At the beginning of the year, we reached out with some guidance from our former Public Works Director, Rodney Hoffman, reached out to Florida Rural Water to look at our current assets that we had in the ground and our water system and with our wastewater system. Florida Rural Water offers a service where they'll come in and do our asset tracking, which we had basically had where our assets were tracked before was either on paper or institutional knowledge, and we didn't really have them on a computer-based system. This is something Florida Rural Water offered, along with some rate analysis and looking at the assets that we do have and looking at the condition and the quality and what the replacement needs are within the city. So they have completed that report. There is a summary that you should have just received a few minutes ago, or that's in front of you in your packet, and the full report is in your packet and you've had for a few days now. And this is George Glover, and I'm going to let him give you the abbreviated version of the water system and hit the highlights.
How y'all doing this evening? First off, before we begin, I'd like to take a second just to brag on the staff, the field staff from down here. They do a very good job taking care of y'all system. These guys they're out here every day working, and they're taking pride in what they're doing. And they're taking pride in what y'all what y'all have here. It's very seldom that you find a system that is as that's being took care of the way this is. Which you'll see that on down into this report. You'll see the condition and the percentages of condition, the average and above percentages is pretty well, but we'll start here with the water side of it. Asset management basically is a systematic assessment of your assets and where they're at, what the useful life is, how long they're going to last from right now till they fail. Looking into maintenance to see what type of maintenance needs to be done, preventive maintenance, predictive maintenance, costs associated with repair or replace. That's what the asset management usually looks at. With the water system, we looked at most of the system, fire hydrants, hydrant valves, system valves, the water towers, excuse me, the water treatment plant, and the wells, pumps, motors, such as that. Now, on page 3, you have a preliminary action list here. What this is the critical assets and things needed to be done to adopt this AMP. When you adopt the AMP and you apply for SRF funding from DEP from this point on, you're eligible for the loan grant forgiveness part of it. So you'll be able to apply for the funds to fix this stuff and get a percentage of it forgiven, and you don't have to pay that back. It's always good to have free money. Y'all have to just bear with me because I don't have my eyeglasses, but we're going to try to read this. I should have made it a little bigger. Your preliminary action list is to adopt the AMP, which the target date would be October 2021. Implement diamond maps and rev plan, November, and continue with the replacement of the distribution system like y'all are doing now. Collect the missing assets that was not collected at the time we done this. Develop a drinking water system O&M plan. That's very important. There is a sample that you could use, build on, look at, maybe it'd be something y'all can use that's on done into the plan as well. The O&M plan should have a valve exercising program attached to it. That will give you a little more life into the valves. Instead of going out here and you're trying to turn one on or off, or you're trying to exercise and it starts leaking up out the top of it, and then you got to dig that thing up and replace it. But that's where that'll come in to help you out with those valves staying in pretty good condition. It talks about replacing valves, talking about replacing hydrants, and updating the programming. That would be diamond maps and rev plan. Let's skip on over to page 6. The current asset conditions here in High Springs with the drinking water system is 70% of your assets are in average or higher condition. Again, that is really good. The graph here will show you that you have one piece of electrical equipment that failed. There's 10 hydrants that's poor, one facility valve and 29 system valves that are poor, and then one of each of those valves with the a hydrant valve and a system valve that's very poor. 2 failed on the system and 1 on the hydrant. And the ones in the yellow there, we did not collect. We didn't assess those. So those would be part of the implementation of this plan, would be go back and collect your assets and assess them for the condition and enter them into the system. Again, that is really good. 70%. That's really good. And then page number 8 is the operating and maintenance plan that I sent you as a sample that was in the packet here. And then we come to financial. Let me go over the wastewater AMP with this front part of here, then I'll turn the financial over to Ms. Stewart here behind me. The wastewater side, same thing. We come in, we assess manholes, we assess the sewer plant, valves, anything that was to do with the wastewater system here, we try to take a look at. You have your preliminary action list, which is self-explanatory there in the front. Back here on page number 6 again, 94.64% are in average or better condition here. So, yeah. Most of the problems are with the manholes, and those can be fixed relatively, pretty easy. You can have them lined, and that'll take care of the problem with most of them. Most of your problems with there would be dirt in the system from broken lines and water leaking in with infiltration around the ring. And there was a couple that had it around the walls, if I remember correctly. Infiltration is something that everybody deals with. That is fresh water going into the system, going to the plant. The plants are not designed to treat fresh water. What it does is, a lot of rainwater or storm water, it gets in and it'll upset the balances there in the plant, and the plant's not operating properly. One way to combat that is to do a smoke test of the system. We can help with that. Very low cost to the system, so it wouldn't cost very much. We come in, we put a fan on top of a manhole and it blows smoke down in there, and wherever smoke's coming up out the ground, there's a leak. So pretty easy. But if y'all decide to do that, then they give us a call and we'll be more than happy to come out and help with that as well. Even with these systems here that are the programs that we've used to put this together with, if y'all decide to go with them and you need some help with them, we're a phone call away. All you have to do is give us a call and we'll be more than happy to come down and help out. Do whatever we can to help y'all whenever y'all need it. One other I wanted to talk on a little bit is the lift station out here for the water park. I ain't gonna try to pronounce that. I done a preliminary report on it several months ago. It's got some issue with hydrogen sulfide gas in it, and it can be remedied fairly easy. You put up a Stenner pump, small pump. You can put peroxide in the wet well. The peroxide will oxygenate the water, which in turn will not allow the hydrogen sulfide gas to form. And that stuff is it's nasty stuff, and in the right concentrations, it's deadly. It turns into sulfuric acid when it's mixed in with the water. So it's doing a number on that lift station. You can go in and you can put stainless steel stuff, you can put HDPE stuff in it, you can do all that, but you still gonna have that issue. You still gonna have that sulfide gas. What it is there's not enough flow in the wintertime for that stuff to turn over. So what's in the wet well sits there and it just turns septic, and it does not, it doesn't flow. If it's flowing, it's not a problem. It's not going to form because it's steadily moving. It forms whenever everything sits still and it just sits there and ferments, and that gas comes up, and that stuff will eat concrete, it'll eat steel, about anything that it gets on. It'll eat the concrete, but it won't eat the rocks. So then you end up with a bunch of rocks piled up in the bottom of your wet well. But easy fix to that would be the hydrogen peroxide, and you put it on a Stenner pump. It put so much in it, so every day, and you ain't got that to worry about. I think they got a pretty good handle on it now, but they was putting, they was having some water put in it, I think, time to time during the winter time, so that it would keep it moving. But other than that, your Weston Oaks lift station, I believe it needs lining, I think it was. The wet well needed to be lined, I believe is what it was. But again, 90-some odd % in average or better condition. Man, y'all made my job easy. But it was a pleasure to work with these folks down here, and it's also a pleasure to see people taking care of what they got. You know, a lot of times people don't do that anymore. I don't know why, but folks just don't do what they should do most of the time. But with that, I'll open up for questions. Well, I can answer any questions they have for me, and then get into you.
On a monthly fee. Is there hardware that needs to go with that they need to use in the field?
It's all web based. You can pull it up, anything that you get on the internet with, you can pull that system up.
You will probably need to purchase some type of tablet for them to be able to use it. If there is a receiver, if you choose to use that, that can help make the accuracy a little tighter and better. And those are all within $1,000.
When we use it, I think it's $3,000. It'll have you within 18 inches. Pretty close.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
No? I'm glad to hear things are as good a shape as they are. That's good news.
Good evening. My name is Diana Stewart. I'm also with Florida Rural Water. And what I do normally is the financial side of the asset management plan. So I'm looking at your finances and trying to identify what rates we need to increase. I will reiterate what George was covering on. This is a requirement by the Department of Environmental Protection. If you are planning on asking for loans through the SRF program, this must be signed by resolution. So these will, you know, if you're wanting to do that in the future, you do have to have this signed, and they will not even consider your application until this is done. So just wanted to make you aware of that. Going over the financials, I believe we still have some things that we probably want to clarify and see if we found some water loss. We're not sure if that's coming from the usage that we received, and numbers were a little skewed. Right now, we're looking at probably, if you get the growth that's anticipated, and we were looking at probably a 10% growth over the next few years that y'all are planning on getting. The rate increase on the wastewater side is substantial. You were looking at about a 20% increase, and I believe there's a typo in your tablet, but it is a 20% increase next year. We applied one, I believe y'all did a 5% increase for this year. Okay. Oh,
no, it's fine.
okay. I was gonna say, we put in 5%, so if it was 0.5, then yeah, we definitely need to review these numbers. 5% was what we added in for your increase this year, but we're still looking at next year. You would need to put about a 20% increase on your wastewater if the anticipated growth does come about. If it doesn't, then you're looking at a significant higher increase, which is going to probably be closer to the 30%. Water side is not looking bad at all. I think we can stick with the 5% increase every year going forward, at least for the next 5 years. The other issue that DEP is going to look at and may question if you decide not to make any rate increases, can you sustain yourself? Are you going to be able to pay back the loans? Based on where you're going right now with the transfers that you're doing out of the water into your general fund, that's a no to them, just to put it plainly. They want to see you to be able, the water system be able to sustain itself. So if those were to be taken out and you found some other source to supply your general fund, then the water system would very well be able to take care of itself. And those increases wouldn't need to be as high as the 5%. You may be able to get away with just the CPI. Any questions?
So let's say 20% increase, but if you're increasing in growth, it's,
That is with the growth.
that
That
is,
is with the 10%. You will still need to raise your wastewater rates about 20% this next year.
And so what hasn't been accounted for, and she can correct me if I'm wrong on this. From my understanding, is we haven't been accounting for what the actual repair cost is for our system. with the grinder pumps. We have a lot of asset in the ground with not enough money to repair that asset. So we're not able to recover our cost, and we're really not covering the cost of the system. We're not even maintaining. We're kind of just limping along. We went through great strides last year to get it up to where it's at now, but we're still underfunded on where it needs to be to maintain these several 100,000 grinder pumps we have in the ground. So each one of those grinder pumps is a depreciating asset that we have to account for, that we have not been accounting for with our accounting practices.
And yeah, and my rate studies do take in the account that everything that we've collected in the system so far, all of your assets, they have a replacement cost value associated with that. And so we have added in here how much R&R you should be budgeting for above what you're already doing.
Keep in mind, these are all recommendations, and there's some things we still need to clean
can
up, and there's some water loss that we're still on the water side. There's some water loss we're still accounting for. We've discussed that with AMI, and we think we've got that figured up. And with the water line connection, the loop project we have going on between River Glen and River Run, that's going to help with loss on the water side. That'll clean that up. But there's some stuff on the sewer side that we have to look at with that as well. And there may be the water loss is skewing some of the sewer side too. So we have to run through everything, but we do have a lot of capital assets in the ground that we don't have a replacement plan for.
Enjoying the new car without planning for repair and maintenance. And we're now seeing that we either start planning for the repair of the car or the replacement of the car, or we continue to drive it blindly until it just collapses.
So it collapses. And then when we come to DEP and say, hey, we need money to fix this, they're gonna say, no, because you haven't done what you needed to do.
We don't want to wait to that.
I know it's not the best news in the world, but I mean, the positives of this, our maintenance program seems to be working. Financially, we've been doing it with very little. We need to make it better. We've been able to keep up our asset, but gotta remember the sewer system started having 4, 5, plant went in place of 06. By this point, we should have 3 people repairing grinder pumps. We have like 1.5 that are dedicated to doing that, plus a foreman or a superintendent now. We were budgeting $10,000 to keep grinder pumps in the ground. We spent $83,000 last year just keeping grinder pumps up because we weren't maintaining them. We were replacing parts as it failed, throwing them back in the ground, and that's where we're at. So we've made some adjustments this year, but we weren't able to get back to that $83,000 because we had to live within our budget constraints. So it's where we're at currently. It's something that you guys need to be aware of as a commission, and we need to start making some educated decisions on actually where we're at as far as the wastewater and water systems are.
This is just the introduction. So we'll make a plan to bring options to you and probably have a workshop meeting.
Now, the good news is the water plant generator's been fixed. It's up and running. We have a plan in place, and we're working on the camp clock, the lift station. That's been an issue. We're getting that worked on. There's been some other things that are in the plans that we've been working on. We're looking at doing some grout on some of these lift stations or these the manholes that we know are some issues, and we're some of this is really manageable right now and can be fixed because they're little problems and we're catching them before they're becoming big problems. But there are some big underlying things that we're going to have to discuss too.
Sewer projects. So that will be a discussion as we bring forward options for y'all to determine what's your priority on the ARPA funds. But there will be some water and sewer projects presented for y'all to consider.
Okay,
I like to, it's something that's actionable, and it's more than just the coming year, it's a couple years out for us to be looking at.
Yes.
And that's a lot easier to make good choices on than a lot of what's been happening in the past when we haven't been looking past a single budget year at a time. So thank you for helping get this together.
And just to make sure you understand that the rate study that we did is looking at that increase happening next October. Okay, so it would need to be implemented, the new rate increase. We do have some things that we can still look at and talk about and try and maybe make a better plan. You are charging the same for your commercial customers as you are for your water customers. Significantly, they're normally at least 25% more than your residential. So that may be something that we can look at, is increasing your commercial and maybe not hitting your residential customers as hard. So those are some things we can work with and play with.
Okay. Do we have any questions from the audience? Kevin?
Madam Mayor will remind anyone on Zoom if they'd like to speak to please utilize the raise your hand function. See no hands this time.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Stewart, I got a question before we get into the resolution. I know the resolution, like the last paragraph of the resolution has the new rates in there. Can we adopt the plan, since we already have a resolution with rates in it, take that portion of it out, since we still have some work to do, to run through our stuff, and add it to our, and do an update on our other resolution, just have the two separate?
I would not take it out completely because they're going to be looking at that. If
Okay.
you can, maybe you could reword it to at least say, consider CPI or adjust it annually, look at it annually to see what adjustments need to be made.
Just got to give you all some options there.
Yeah. All right, item number 2 is the resolution 2021-M.
Madam Mayor, I'll go ahead and read the resolution by title only. This is a resolution of the City of High Springs, Florida, approving the City of High Springs Drinking Water Asset Management and Fiscal Sustainability Plan, the FSAMP Plan, authorizing the city manager to take all actions necessary to effectuate the intent of this resolution and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is passed. Resolution number 2021-M, as read by title only.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Comments, Commissioner? So are we okay with the resolution?
Motion, we go ahead and approve the resolution 2021-M as read.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and second that resolution 2021-M be approved. Ms. Palmer.
Do we have any comment? Like audience or not?
Audience comments on the resolution? No. Okay.
Mayor James,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Ambrose,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 4-0. All right. We'll move down to item number 3.
Madam Mayor, this is resolution number 2021-L. A resolution of the City of High Springs, Florida, approving the City of High Springs Wastewater Asset Management and Fiscal Sustainability Plan, FSMAP Plan, authorizing the city manager to take all actions necessary to effectuate the intent of this resolution and provide an effective date. The appropriate motion is passed. Resolution number 2021-L upon its reading by title only.
All right, any comments on the wastewater resolution? Citizens' comments. Okay, motion.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we approve resolution number 2021-L.
I'll second that.
All right, it's been properly moved and second that resolution 2021-L be approved. Okay, Ms. Palmer?
Vice Mayor Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Ambrose,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Mayor James,
Yes. Motion carries 4-0. All right, we don't have any unfinished business tonight. So we're gonna go to citizens' requests and comment for issues that are not on the agenda. And please state your name for the record and limit your comments to 5 minutes, please.
David Lynch, Linch. Since we're talking about water, I think this would be the appropriate time to say that over here in the northwest section where I live, some crews of men dug up the pavement to put in new water line. And they didn't replace the pavement. They just left the bare dirt there. And it washes in a hard rain. Moving on to the reason that I came to the meeting, I would like to give each person a piece of paper. How will I do that? Give each one of the commissioners and city manager and city attorney a piece of paper. I subscribe to a publication called Science News. And I cut this out of Science News, and it pertains to the issue of alcoholic beverages. Let us read the first paragraph together. In 2015, 2 Princeton economists published data showing that white people in their 40s and 50s in the United States were dying at much higher rates than expected, and that the death rate for that age group had been rising sharply for almost 2 decades. The big killers like cancer and heart disease weren't to blame. Instead, alcohol misuse, drug overdoses, and suicides caused these early deaths, which the economists Ann Case and Angus Deaton called deaths of despair. So alcohol abuse is causing an increased death rate. And when the commissioners allow High Springs Brewing to use the High Springs name, they are supporting and condoning by the power of the state something that causes an increased rate of death.
Good evening to the commission, city manager. I think it's been a few weeks since I spoke to you guys about the Head Start program and kind of explaining us wanting to use Catherine Taylor Park's blue building that's back there, and then everything else that came up with the use of the community center. I understood very well. I actually went home and prayed about it and listened to everything that you guys had to say about why you did not want the program to be inside of the community center. And all of you made very valid points. So we looked into getting a classroom portable put on the church property where we are behind Subway. It was tough finding one, but we did find one. The portable is $8,000. Good Lord, the cost to move it just up the road it sits on 236 currently, and to put it back together, that is almost $6,000, almost as much as the portable itself. But the portable is in very good shape and will last to serve the students in our community for many years to come. What I am here tonight to ask the commission for is The city planning department and the building department and the public works department has been very helpful, answering a lot of questions that I had with what do we need to do legally to get it put there. I know we can't just pull it there and put it together. There's a process, and Ms. Atkins wrote back and she said that the application fee is $2,500. I've never seen an application fee cost that much anywhere. Then she said that the retainer, in addition to the $2,500 application fee, is $3,000, which brings the total fees of $5,500 to have, I'm guessing what she said is to have the site plan and review board and everybody to review if we can or cannot have the portable there. So what I'm asking tonight is, I don't know if you guys can make a motion tonight or discuss it, or even if the city manager herself can make a decision, I'm not sure, but I want to come to you guys first to say that as a local church and nonprofit who's doing many great things, if there's any way that you guys could assist us with this $5,500 application fee, we'd be greatly appreciative. I know that the commission has the power to waive any fee when it comes down to the city. But we have a lot that we're trying to do in addition to paying for the portable, having it put together and moved, and this $5,500 application fee and retainer. We're also going to have to pay to get it connected to water. We're also going to have to pay a lot of money to get Duke Energy to come out and connect it to electric. And we're looking at probably about $25,000 or more, including this $5,500 fee. So if you can discuss it at some point, can it be discussed tonight, or can you guys come back?
We've had other issues with the planning fees. And so staff was planning on the next meeting to bring a new ordinance, changing some of the fees.
Right.
And main of the retainer was a big one, like, staff kind of would have the authority to charge it as needed. I mean, sometimes the retainers, it is very large and we know that we're not going to use that much. So it doesn't make sense to take that much money from someone up front. Now, what we don't use is reimbursed, but it is difficult for everyone to come up with that up front. So anyway, so we are going to be going to the commission to increase and reduce some fees, but I understand where you're coming from on this one.
Right.
So
Ms. Atkins did say that, I think, I don't know whose proposal it was, but it was for building any addition to the property that is, I think, greater than 600 square feet, she told me. So I wasn't sure how we could fall into that, but the portable is 8.
well, if you bring something else on the property, typically we're more lenient if it's temporary and not going to be permanent. It's more site plan is tripped when it's going to be something that's permanent.
Right.
Then it needs commission approval. But if it's not going to be permanent, then staff normally just looks at the setbacks and some other things, and we can sign off on it sometimes. So, I mean, we can work with you on that.
And it's on wheels, and I guess we wouldn't say that it's permanent, because if we don't own the property, but if we move the next day, we would take it with us.
Yeah, what it would be is we'd have you put something on there that says it's only going to stay there for a year. And then after that, you would have to come back again. Or if you want to keep it longer, then you definitely have to come back to the commission or take it off.
So just my last question is moving forward, because I think the whole process, Kristen said, could take up to 2 or 3 months. And we need it like yesterday for the students.
And because you'd have to go through the process before planning and the plan board and the city commission for them to approve the site plan. Because it's a large structure on a commercial piece of property, and our ordinance requires that the accessory structures on commercial.
So if it is temporary, which it sounds like it is, then we would not have to go through this long process.
You would not if you agreed to move it off the property in a reasonable amount of time. Like it really has to go after a year.
And if we don't, then we would have to pay, or if we say, well, we are going to actually keep it longer, then we would have to pay the fees. So
Then if
revisit
you want to
that.
keep it longer, then you have to come to the commission and the plan board and commission and ask them and then pay the fees.
Okay,
But the retainer should be reduced, or staff should have the option to not charge the whole retainer if the commission approves, depending on the project. Because in some cases, the project's gonna be higher than the retainer, then we require them to replenish it as they move along in their project.
okay. So is it just best to correspond with you and Ms. Kristen moving forward about it?
Yeah, unless if you want a waiver of fees, then we would have to put that on the agenda, the next agenda.
So
Yeah, I guess also, so we don't create a bottleneck, is you rent the property currently.
correct.
So wouldn't you need something from the landlord?
Yeah, we have to have a
in
letter from-
writing that
yeah.
You could go ahead and get that document.
Yeah,
in
a letter
process.
from the property owner giving you permission to put it on the property. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Still doing our name and addresses?
No.
Okay, I'm Rick Testa. I live here in Ashburn. I came in with some good news this evening, just to let y'all know, if you haven't gotten to know the new code enforcement officer yet, our staff person, to me, it's a new person. They change about every few months. You know how that's gone over the years. But this particular one has been unusual in my experience here. I've been here about, 25 years altogether, 20 years in the house here. And the way this person's handling problems out in the community, just the face-to-face, it's a calm, rational approach to dealing with some really crummy problems sometimes. And so far, every time I've spoken to anybody that this person has had any activity with, including myself, the problems that we're experiencing have been resolved completely. Some problems that I've been personally working on for 22 years. Tractor trailers, if you all have ever experienced that, when the people that drive the tractor trailers come home with the trailer attached and park it out on city roads. This person's the first one that's resolved that problem in my experience. I've mentioned this to the assistant manager and to the chief of police. I've been in just to, give them a citizens, good news for a change. And I wanted to let you all know the same thing. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We're getting all kinds of good news.
Mhm. Hello.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Mary Helen Wheeler, and I'm so glad to be here to hear all these things. I'm going to try to get here more. You guys have got some things going on here that I want to make sure that I'm a witness to. But I did want to congratulate you on the CRA presentation that you made to the Board of County Commissioners. They were blown away. I got to say, Ken Cornell has been there for 7 years. He said it was the best one he ever saw. And I know you guys put a lot of thought and care and money into making sure that it was done right. And it was a beautiful presentation. I was real proud.
Yes.
But also the trees, the CRA plan
Yes.
that's actually now beginning to take flight is real exciting. I was able to have one of my grandchildren there to help plant this weekend, and we had a lovely time. And I can't wait in 10 years that I'm still here, that boy can see that tree that he helped to plant. But I will tell you too, and I was sorry to hear that Elder Joy was still having trouble, getting a place for his daycare, because we were really excited that you all had landed that here in this community. And I tried really hard, and I'm still, not let it go completely. The church that's between here, the Fellowship Church. What I was really hoping is that we would have that as a site for his daycare, which would solve a whole lot of problems right there. So, that one didn't come through exactly the way we thought or had hoped at the time, but, I haven't given up hope yet, that maybe the possibility of putting a community center there is still there. Let me see, another thing that I've been working on too is the lime rock mines, the High Springs. It's up off 236. 236, right. You all are talking about water and water quality. You've got the canoe outpost now. I was living on top of that for a couple of years until Jim Wood sold it to us. Right? So no, I still feel like it belongs to me too. But because you all have now are a keeper of the water, you know, that you are going to be an affected party with anything that goes on that water. If we could also have the county in the unincorporated area protect those lakes up there. There's 220 acres up there. I understand there's really good fishing. A lot of squatters go up there. A lot of go-up guys up there fish. And so they can attest to the fact, maybe some of you all have to, but that there's good fishing up there. And not only that, because of the exposure of the water, it's right down into the aquifer. You can see beautiful places of spring clear water where those mines cut right down into the aquifer. So I'm working on that. We've already put it on the priority acquisition list for the county. So, but at this point, what we have to do is it's a barter bargain share. So we have to find someone else who will help us buy it. So the county is willing to put some money towards it, but we're looking for a partner now to actually buy that so that the county has access to that property for fishing and canoeing and electric motors, because it does go down into the aquifer. And we really make sure that those 5 lakes are protected, because it is connected to this river. It's connected to our water system. And if High Springs has another area that we can open to tourists, it's right by I-75. It's just right up the road here. So between the canoe outpost, the Santa Fe River, the springs, and the lakes, we don't have a lake area like that up in this part of the county for people to access. Just know I'm working on these things, y'all. And if you can think of something else that I need. Oh, and light. Did David Sutton tell you all about the light? FDOT? I've been schmoozing with DOT guys.
Yeah, I'm not sure on this one. There's so many light projects going on downtown right now.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of them.
This is Post Springs, the Post Springs Road.
Yes.
You know, as it comes
Oh,
in
yeah.
we have met the criteria. So now it's a matter of just, digging them a little bit to make, his name is David Tyler. And he's a really nice fellow, lives in Gainesville, young man that I've been finding good friends all over the place, guys. I realize that's what you have to do, is make everybody your BFF and then you get stuff done. But he has said that we qualify for a light there at Post Springs Road.
Wow.
So now it's just, and the report should be getting to you.
Okay,
Ashley.
good.
Okay, so anyway, they're committed and we've got his name now. And if you want his number, I'll send it to you.
Yes,
Okay,
we
but-
would.
Okay, but you guys, thank you so much for letting me be a part of this team. It's really exciting to see what's happening up here and see how carefully you all are really engaging in the growth here to the point where it's the kind of growth you want. So well done, just home.
Thank you for looking out for us.
Definitely.
All right, is there anyone else? Do you have anyone, Kevin?
Madam Mayor, we'll remind folks again, if they'd like to speak, to please use the raise your hand function in Zoom. We can bring them in. I do not see any hands.
All right, thank you so much. All right, with that, we'll close out that section and we will move into our new business. Consider, discuss, and act on the school superintendent, Carly Simons. Vice Mayor.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to do a little preamble here, and I know there's at least a couple of people to speak on this. The City of High Springs first heard from Dr. Simon, who's the superintendent of our school board, when she attended a commission meeting several months ago when we were discussing the growth of High Springs, addressing the lack of schools. She said there would be no funds for the next 10 years for schools and suggested the developer build the schools needed. We are so proud of the High Springs Community School, although it is currently overcrowded. And however, the grounds consistently need attention. That was brought to my attention. Dr. Simon has totally revamped the organizational chart of the district. I don't know if anybody ever caught that meeting that she had, but it was very dramatic. Most people would like to take it slowly when you're changing, but not her. Teachers and staff cannot voice their opinion for fear of losing their jobs. This was shown at the end of the school year when, I can't remember whether it was 9 or 11 principals, teachers, and staff were released. They received a hand-delivered letter. Dr. Simon did not speak to them personally. We are dependent on the state for funds for roads and now evidently schools. Dr. Simon's political activism has quite possibly put Alachua County in a precarious position, choosing to defy the governor, the Florida Department of Education, and Florida Department of Health. She seems to revel in her actions by appearing on 17 TV shows, 1 social media video with Secretary Cordona, U.S. Department of Education, accepting a $147,000 check that the Florida Department of Education withheld, and wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post. All this within a 2-month time frame. I attended a recent Alachua Chamber monthly luncheon, curious as to what she would share. I won't go into her speech. The most telling part to me was Dr. Simon, excuse me, and at least one of her staff members were not wearing a mask before the speech when they were socializing or after. I was given a copy of the public official brief prepared by the Alliance for Responsible Government, ARG. It's an in-depth and it's very in-depth and factual. The brief is 17 pages. The rest of this document includes exhibits to support the brief. This is huge. It's a wonderful piece of work. Like I said, it's 17 pages for the brief, but the rest of this are exhibits that supports what they say in the brief. I haven't had a chance to read it all, but it's very interesting, the parts I've gotten to. They continue to seek out information to add to this document, so it will grow. Dr. Simon is more interested in her political future than in our children and parents. Petition of no confidence of Superintendent Simon has been signed by over 1,500 people, including 158 residents of High Springs and growing. People are asking for the site to sign the petition. They call me or email me and ask, where can I sign? So there'll be more of High Springs. I've been watching the meetings online and spoke at the October 5th meeting. It is my opinion that we need to send a message from our city and perhaps other cities will follow. So I will be asking for a petition of no confidence of Superintendent Simon. No. Did y'all hear all that? And I know that there's some people here who would like to speak.
Commissioners,
What do you mean, commissioners?
hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Fellow commissioners, I apologize for not being able to attend tonight's meeting, but my duties as risk manager for Alachua County Public Schools require that I be out of town October 12th through the 15th. That said, I'd like to make a comment on agenda item number 4, consider, discuss, and act on the school superintendent Carly Simon, submitted by Vice Mayor Linda Jones. I do not believe this is a course of action the commission should engage in. It is not our job as city commissioners to evaluate other governmental officials. Respectfully, Commissioner Scott Jameson. I have copies of that.
Okay.
And I have gotten several phone calls too on that same thing. It's in the wrong form for this kind of thing. It's not a commission issue, and they don't understand why we entertaining it as High Spring commissioners.
Yeah. What Commissioner Jones has brought forth, I think, represents a lot of what we're hearing in the community. I know as a commissioner, I'm hearing things about our school and people being concerned. And I, on a personal level, don't disagree with anything that Commissioner Jones has brought forth. But I believe as a commission, we should be looking at the relationship of the city with the school board and how it's performing. Its inability and unwillingness to recognize the growth we're experiencing. Its unwillingness to budget any of the money from the assessed tax to do anything other than basic maintenance that they should have been doing anyway. They haven't expanded the school. Next year, I think their financial plan calls for some security improvements. And yet we're the only school in the county that's ever had an active shooting. Why wasn't that at the top of the list? So there are real serious issues that our city might be addressing with the school system. But, you know, the other four commissioners here had the opportunity to choose our new city manager. And I think they made a good choice. I wasn't here at the time. But I would be very upset if any other governmental entity decided to weigh in on Ashley's performance. And that is our job as a commission. And I think the same thing would be true for this, the superintendent is a hired employee by another elected body. And I just think it's inappropriate for us to talk about an individual that was hired and not in our control by another elected body. So I do think the city should be stepping up and focusing on a lot of the issues we have with the school system. But I don't think that a discussion about the performance of an individual we have no control of is appropriate here.
I agree with you. And that's is what I was saying earlier, is some of the calls I've been getting.
Byron, did you want to say anything? Okay. I received 11 emails in support of this from mostly High Springs residents. I understand what Commissioner Ambrose is saying. However, the school board affects the whole county. We don't affect the whole county. We affect only High Springs. So if county residents are not getting what they need from this entity, what else are we to do?
Well, I think we may be more actively engaged in a conversation with the school board. And if that doesn't work, there's actually recourse through Tallahassee. And I think maybe the smaller cities that aren't being served and getting the proper share and recognition of how the county is dealing with education for our area, maybe we need to go over their head. But I think we need to explore that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any comments from the audience out there? Come on.
Any comments from y'all?
Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Catherine Whites. For the purposes of this discussion, I'm going to introduce myself as Mama, because that's the moniker that is being actively ignored every day now. I've had a child in the public school system here since 2005 in continuum. My third is still there. My older two are gone. I've never known the environment to be so divisive and so toxic. Throughout my experience at High Springs Community School, my two children were there when that active shooter was there. And thank God the Leos were there to take him down. I've made friends with a lot of teachers, and not a single one of them has a voice anymore. They are terrified to speak. They have our children's backs. They are watching our children struggle like they've never struggled before. The fact that Dr. Simon negates my role here is a personal offense to me. It's my job to make sure my kids show up to school prepared, well-fed, well-rested, and to respect the teacher. It's not Dr. Simon's job to tell me how to send my child to school. I respect parents who want to do certain things, but I would like to have the same respect. And we don't have a voice. Dr. Simon will not respond to my emails. When I call into school board meetings, magically, they can never take my call. We're having audio trouble. Oh, I'm sorry, we can't hear you. I'll have to call back. My calls have never gotten put through. We do not have a voice. And the $147,000 that Dr. Simon got from the federal government tells me that it doesn't matter what the local people are saying so much because we're not saying enough. If the federal government is going to bail them out, when our governor issues mandates saying we as a parents have a choice, and Dr. Simon says, sorry, you don't. I'm on CNN and she is drunk with power. So Commissioner Jones, I thank you so much for bringing this to this public forum. I recognize that there are ways that you can work through this. However, Dr. Simon has made it very clear that she's not interested in working with anyone. The principal of Glen Springs Elementary could tell you. She's in Trenton now. She started in this school system 30 years ago as a bus driver, and she worked her way up, and she wasn't toting the party line. So she was non-renewed. Teachers know they can't say anything. And she's telling us in our community that we've got to come up with the money to build their own schools. The reason this school is so successful, the name of the school speaks to the very soul of this community. It's a community school. The parents here really care. They're really active. They're really involved. And I think we're a threat to her because she's trying to divide us. I say no. Thank you, Commissioner Jones. I appreciate it.
David Lynch. Oh, just the idea of the city taking a position against the superintendent of schools, it's just on his face, it's strange. I never heard of anything of this kind before. It's way out there in left field. So I urge the commissioners not to approve this. And something happened at school recently that I didn't like. I have a 9-year-old daughter that's at High Springs Community School. She's in the 4th grade. Her teacher took 5 days off to take a vacation to Iceland. And they had to hire a substitute teacher. According to their contract, the teachers can take, I believe it is 5 days off during the school year for no reason. They don't have to give a reason. They could just take 5 days off. And a teacher that would take 5 days off right in the middle of the school year to take a vacation when they've already had 2 months off, that teacher doesn't care about the students.
Hi, my name is Melissa Scott. I don't live in High Springs. I did grow up here. I actually live in Gainesville. And I do have concerns about the current state and treatment of parents and children in the county. I have zero confidence in our superintendent. I've sent numerous emails. I get zero response. No one responds. The last superintendent did respond. She was the only one who would ever respond. I've just been actually shocked. I attend all of the meetings. I sit, I don't speak. I don't like to do this. But I've been very shocked at other parents who've been escorted out by police for speaking, just having a difference of opinion. I do agree. She has a lot of time for media coverage. She also likes to hunt down doctors who sign medical exemptions for parents. So she's found time for that. She did personally, I do know this because I'm friends with quite a few parents who have had this where they submitted medical exemptions. She wanted all of them submitted to her for review. Who has time for that? she does. She's also bringing in a lot of UF medical staff. One in particular was quite fascinating, actually. I wish I knew the lady's name, but the impression I got, she shared, basically she worked with abused children and how, many parents don't have their best interest at heart because they're abused. But we as parents don't care about our kids because we may not want to mask. I have twins. I have one struggling very much right now. So I see it as very destructive. Now I get you probably don't want to go this route. That's fine. But there's a lot of parents being ignored right now. Thank you.
Madam Chair, thank you. Fashion.
Superintendent and Superintendent Simon.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, we got no second.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to the next item. Item number 5.
Madam Mayor, this is a resolution. It's Resolution 2021K. A resolution of the City of High Springs, Florida, authorizing the adoption of a statewide mutual aid agreement. The appropriate motion is to pass Resolution 2021K upon its reading by title only.
Mayor, Commission, this is a statewide mutual aid agreement. We have one very similar with fire. We have one very similar with police. We should have adopted this in 2018, and we missed it somewhere along the lines. It was brought to our attention by Alachua County EOC a few weeks back that we did not adopt it. We went back and looked, and we have not. So we are bringing it forth to adopt it and put it forward. It's just a clerical thing that we need to do, and
We just missed it.
just missed it. It was just an oversight.
I move we go ahead and adopt resolution 2021K.
That's your motion? All right, I need a second from somebody. All right, it has been properly moved and second that resolution 2021-K be approved.
Commissioner Ambrose,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Mayor James,
Yes?
Vice Mayor Jones,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries 4-0. All right, let's move down to item number 6.
Madam Mayor, this is scope of services with GSG Corporation out of Tallahassee. They do our fire assessment study. This is something that is mandated and required by the Florida statutes that the study be had and the analysis be conducted in order to properly assess the fire assessment on an annual basis. And so the scope of services provides that GSG will do this work, and they have listed out their hourly rates and what their estimates are. And then there is a deliverable schedule that they have attached to the document. In addition to that, they also have a payment schedule that shows December 2021, it goes through $3,750, and then on and on and on, all the way through total fiscal year of 2024 and 25. Legal's approved it as to form, and the appropriate motion will be for the City of High Springs and the appropriate officials to enter into the agreement with GSG.
All right, Commissioner.
Government Services Group is the GSG is the acronym.
All right,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you. Questions, comment, Commissioners? No? Any questions, comments from the audience? And I'll entertain a motion. Got no questions?
I move we go ahead and approve the 3-year extension of the contract with GSG for the maintenance of the fire assessment program.
Okay, it's been properly moved and second that the agreement for 2024-25 be approved. All those in favor respond with aye, please.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries 4-0. Next item is a resolution.
Madam Mayor, this is Resolution 2021-N, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of High Springs, Florida, with respect to reimbursement of certain costs and expenditures related to the public improvements in it for the City of High Springs, Florida. The appropriate motion is to pass Resolution 2021-N as read by title only.
This resolution is for the purchase, related to the purchase of the canoe outpost. The canoe outpost is supposed to close at the end of October. We will not know final cost of the, we know the final cost of the purchase, but we don't know the closing costs and everything else yet. We won't know that till around a week before closing, which doesn't give the financial advisors enough time to bid out the correct number and get it back in time. So what we are proposing is that we use the wild spaces funds, which there are plenty in there. And then it will go out to bid for financing, and then we'll be reimbursed before the end of the year. So this resolution allows that.
I'm seeing it goes back into our space.
Absolutely.
All right, very good. All right, do we have any comments from commissioners?
They're vaguely related, but part of us going forward with the purchase was also that we'd be putting out an RFP for operating of the outpost. What is the status of that RFP? When we approved to move forward with the purchase, we were told that would probably be able to go out in the next week or two
Shortly.
after review from the attorney's office. And I'm just curious, where is that RFP in the process? And
We've sent the agreement, and Damon, I did not copy you of that today. I just did that a few moments ago. It was an oversight that we didn't have you on the copy list, but the agreement, the operating agreement is in draft form. It probably needs a little bit of help. The RFP will reference the operating agreement. That'll be the controlling document that the bidders will bid under. So that document needs to be reviewed. I know you've been intimately involved in all of that, Commissioner Ambrose, so your feedback will be appreciated on that document. I know Ashley's going to look at it very closely as well, and Damon. So city staff should have their review done pretty quickly, I believe. I think the document, the base document, is in good shape, and then the RFP will go out and advertise that as part of the bid package.
okay.
With the possibility, of course, of pursuing a workshop, perhaps on the
Yes.
21st, to go over some alternative details that staff have discussed with that we can pursue with the commission.
So because the RFP has not gone out yet, the timeline with the purchase of the canoe outpost will require that we, the city either operate it until we get someone else online. We are talking to other vendors right now to see if they temporarily could operate it for us, or the third option would be to shut it down until we can get a contract with a vendor. So on your, before you is a request for a meeting on October 21st. A special meeting where staff will go over with you the different options and how the transition will work. And if we operate it, how that will work until someone else comes along, or the options of who we would use. If we can contract with someone temporarily, we'd have to use a piggyback agreement. Or, you know, y'all can also talk about just temporarily.
Laying out all options and opportunities that we've accumulated over the past several weeks.
So we, Jenny will be calling you to see if y'all will be available, so we will have quorum or not. That's 1 week
On the
from today.
21st.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I move that we pass resolution 2022-N as read.
I'll second that.
Is it in or
I just turned it over.
oh,
Oh, you said N.
yeah,
It's O on our agenda.
yes. Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I on the wrong one?
Yeah, it's
Okay. Oh, I beg your pardon. 2021-O.
Not gonna have another second. One second.
I did.
Okay. I just want you to do it again since you corrected it.
Okay.
All right. All right. It has been properly moved and second that resolution 2021-0 be approved. Okay, Ms. Farm?
Williams, Mayor James,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Ambrose.
Yes.
All right, motion carries 4-0. Okay, last item on the agenda is item number 8, which is resolution 2021-J.
Madam Mayor, this is a resolution of the City of High Springs, Florida, determining and declaring certain real property as surplus located in the City of High Springs, Florida, and authorizing the city manager to dispose of said property in accordance with the city's real property policy and/or affordable housing policy, repealing all resolutions in conflict and establishing an effective date. The corporate motion is passed resolution number 2021-J as read by title only.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we're back on the vacant lots again. And
Oh, okay.
so staff has been in communication and driven the neighborhood with the Neighborhood Housing Development Corporation as well as Habitat for Humanity, who are both interested. Around a year ago, Habitat wasn't on board as much, and then they came back and said they'd like some. So basically, staff's recommendation will be for, if you can see the green lots on there, they're near 184th Street, to go to Habitat. We tried to give, there were obviously preferable lots over other lots, so we tried to share equally the preferable ones over the ones that weren't the highest choice. And then the red will go to the Neighborhood Housing Development Corporation. The blue lots, 2 of those staff wanted to keep for potential lift station in the future. And then 2 of them are not, no one is interested in them and likely will be because there's pretty deep sinkholes on those lots. Staff would like to, we were driving around today with some people interested in lots, and a good idea was brought up to make the lots with a sinkhole into like a little public park or something. And the site lends itself very well to put a nice amenity in the neighborhood. So this resolution, the process is that you would have to pass this resolution declaring the vacant lots as surplus, which means they serve no meaningful public purpose, and that a greater public purpose would be served if we donate those to someone else. And then we put them on the website for, I think, 7 days, so that any other nonprofits are interested in them, then they have the opportunity to put their name out there as well. And then the commission decides to donate them. So there is some other interest in the lots from people in the community, but they're not non-profit. Gosh, why can I not talk today? And our policy requires that they be nonprofit.
Nonprofit.
So, and if you have any interest in doing anything else with these lots or giving them to anyone else, you know, just let staff know whatever you want to do. But if you do pass this resolution, the next step would be that an application is submitted by Habitat and Neighborhood Development Corporation. And then we start going through the rest of the process.
Are there any strings attached that would require these groups, if they receive the properties, to do something with them in a particular time frame?
I think that we can put that in when we give those to them, and if not, it would revert back to us so that we could find someone else to handle them. The Neighborhood Housing Development Corporation, they were able to do it in a shorter amount of time than Habitat. That's why we gave an extra lot to them.
Okay.
Yeah, in the past we did. I think it was 7 years, which I thought was too long, but
I agree.
think
mean,
it
I
is
was
starting. I
hearing-
was just about to say.
Neighborhood said 1 to 2 years and Habitat was up to 3 years. I would
3 years
say,
sound good.
Yeah, because Habitat, that's totally different. It's
Mhm.
pretty much the person have to do hours, it's just a much longer process for Habitat.
oh, okay.
Mhm. So now, let's go back. You say the red and green, now I got your map. You say red is who?
Neighborhood Housing Development Corporation.
Okay. So now this. I don't know what lot number that'd be, but a 368 00000.
368.
Mm-hmm, in the red.
I see which one. It's the one up here in
Yeah,
the corner
top
near
of the
across from the
block.
city park.
So that's one across on the park.
Yes.
So now that lot next to that, who own that? That's the said lot too?
No, because I'm not sure. I don't know. Christy's not here. She's the one who
reason
who
I-
worked on this. So I
reason-
got to, can someone look it up?
The reason I was asking is because I thought we was trying to preserve that land just in case in the future we want to try to do something.
What,
with those lots
Damon, you
close.
helped look at these as well with us. The city lots that were around it were like interspersed where it didn't give us enough acreage to do a whole lot.
Mhm.
Do you remember the other ones we looked at? Yeah.
Just the way they were spread out.
Okay.
In other words, a plot here, and something in between, and then another plot. That's as far as we got.
I think the funds would be better spent if you did something down there near the sinkhole location. Because these other lots are so small and we already have, a larger chunk of land with Catherine Taylor to do more on it.
Okay, yeah, because as I'm looking at it now, that's a small lot. Well, I guess it's small to build a house, but you really can't do that. Because-
Consider that the new budget, this coming budget year, applying some, funding and some efforts to the actual park itself that is right there.
Okay. Okay, so you see what on that, Bruce?
One of the corner is Barnes. One of the corner of 181st Place and Douglas Street, last name is Barnes.
Mm-hmm.
So exact line. Immediately to the west of that property. Mary, Willie, and Savannah.
Okay,
So it's just one.
it's just one lot. Okay, I thought it was
Yeah,
six.
it's just one lot there that's ours.
Okay, I thought it was more than one lot. Okay, we cool. I'm good with that. And then you said, and that old sinkhole, is the water still in that sinkhole or just the old school in there?
Y'all
Yeah,
should
where
ride
y'all
by
put
it.
it?
It's really pretty.
I used to play in it.
Oh, did you really? We were,
That old.
Yeah.
we were hearing stories of like nearby
It's
property
been there a
owners
long, long time.
who wash their clothes in the springs and stuff. I was like,
Mhm.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and as such, since there's memories associated with it, I mean, it'd be nice to turn it into something people could enjoy.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, I'm pleased with that.
Because Damon doesn't need any more park projects. He doesn't have enough for next
I
year.
agree with you. Okay, that's good. I love to see some houses in that. But no,
Yes.
okay, I'm cool with this.
All right. My audience gone, but are there any comments out there at all? All right, then I'll entertain a motion.
I move we go ahead and pass resolution 2021J, declaring the certain real estate property surplus, as explained by Ashley.
Okay, second.
Okay, it's been properly moved in second that resolution number 2021-J be approved. Madam-
Mayor James,
Yes,
Vice Mayor Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Ambrose.
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, and Scott, make sure we, some kind of way, they got so many years to do some of this, like they do the thing within so many years, it converts back to the city.
Will do.
It should be like a
Like
closing.
3.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't have a clause in there.
If Habitat can do it in 3, they can do it in 3. Well, 3 years.
There's a lot of interest down there. So High Springs is growing and people are, see, there's an opportunity now to get on it.
All right, resolution 2021-JK.
I need to do a correction on number 7 that we passed. On the agenda, it does say resolution 2021-0. But you're right, it is supposed to be in.
Okay.
The resolution in the packet is in, but it's a typo on the agenda.
Okay.
It says O and O is only been assigned to something else.
That's ministerial. You can fix
Okay.
it.
Yes,
It's
so
not
I
a
just wanted to.
No problem, Jimmy.
Okay, but we don't need anything from us.
It's supposed to be in.
Sorry.
Okay.
That's okay.
All right. Okay, we're at the point now where we are ready to hear our report from our city attorney.
Madam Mayor, November 18th is our ethics training session. Unfortunately, that is also a meeting night
Commission
here.
night as
I'm gonna
well.
be here and Kirsten will be there. And Kirsten's gonna put together a very entertaining program. And as was done last year, I know Andrea is gonna be helping her with that. My understanding is we're gonna have it recorded. So if you need your 4 hours, it'll be recorded and you can watch it at your leisure.
Oh, thank
And
you.
get your 4 hours in and we should be good to go. So that's the game. You will miss out on some hors d'oeuvres and that kind of thing.
I know,
But-
they're always so good.
But we'll get it done.
All right.
And I'd rather watch y'all than the one that we had, the other alternative, I should say.
I watched that one.
Did you?
I watched that one
Did
on
you like it?
YouTube.
I only had that choice, so,
Yeah.
Oh, you couldn't.
yeah, I didn't, yeah.
Oh, you were at the meeting.
So, I don't know. I was like, I
Oh,
didn't
that's
know we
good.
had Bolden Walker.
I took it one time at that
They-
same meeting.
Uh-huh.
While I was there, I might as well
Shoot,
do
though,
it.
So one of the meeting that we were
I just
at.
don't anything I'm supposed to do. I don't want to get my hands on.
Okay, you're good.
All right, we ready to hear from the. Yeah, I'm asking, I don't know, are you finished? He's finished. All right, we're ready for the city's manager's report.
So I'm just gonna defer to some things that happened and that were written in Kevin's newsletter he does. This last month, 15 teams signed up for Santa Fe baseball, and soccer, volleyball, and robotics have had strong participation as well. I already mentioned not to forget there's a special meeting next week, and we hope everyone can attend and we can get a quorum. The police department attended de-escalation training, and they're offering some more training workshops from what they received for the rest of the officers. The big thing that's already mentioned before was the CRA tree planting that went on last weekend. There were 36 elm, live oak, and cypress trees were planted downtown from the post office to the farmer's market pavilion out near High Springs Brewing Company. I mean, they covered a lot of area, and it'll be very beautiful. Tied with that is we received that grant on the parking and drainage stormwater improvements downtown. Staff has started working with Kinley Horn on that. And so as those trees were put down, they tried to space them so that would leave room for the parking spaces. And once that's done, we'll be looking for grants for that. Staff is also, there are a number of grants coming out that are due November, December timeframe that just came out. Like, there wasn't a bunch of notice for it. And so as we discussed during budget season, we're going to get more aggressive on the grants. So we are applying for, I'll let Bruce talk about the elevated storage tank.
Oh, the first grant.
Yes.
That we're working on. We have an opportunity to apply for FEMA for called BRIC grant to add another elevated storage tank in town, which we need to go ahead and do. We only have the one water tower, which everybody's aware of. That tower goes down. It really changes some stuff. We've been fortunate to work on the third well, which we've been moving forward with. So that's going to help. We've been looking at identifying the area where that water tank's going to go. We think we're going to put it out towards the new well site where it's gonna end up. And there's a couple other things we're looking at right now, but that's main focus right now is another elevated storage.
And likewise, again, we're going to bring these projects to you for discussion, consideration, the ARPA funds, but with the projections being that the expansion of the wastewater treatment plant may not have enough capacity for what's coming in. We've had discussions with Mid Tower, and they are going to go back and see if we have the option to make it bigger. And come back with us for recommendation. Do we plan on subsequent expansions or to just make this one bigger? And is that even allowed and will affect where we stand with the grant? So, but looking at preparing even for further expansion of the wastewater treatment plant, whatever that looks like, we are allowed to use ARPA funds for that, according to Mid Tower. And so that's something we will be putting forward as a potential use of some of the ARPA funds. So.
And the reality is with the sewer plant, even with phase 2 going in, even with some expansion of the phase 2 of the sewer treatment facility, we are with the potential growth one to come in, we're already got our backs against the wall where we have to look at a phase 3 of some sort. There's not going to be enough capacity in this plant, even if we get the expansion to cover all the potential that wants to come to town. And that's not counting Bridlewood, if you will, that one large one. That's just in general with all the projects that want to come to town, including some of the vacant lots. Just to put that back in your mind.
And a lot of smaller ones keep kind of proliferating in. And I think the message is getting out there on what the commission is looking for and what we vetted. And there's a number of people that are working with us. So I'm very pleased to see that they're willing to consider what the community wants, what the commissioners have relayed. So we're passing along your message.
Okay, thank you.
I got a couple quick things. RFQ for AMI's back from legal. I cleaned up the formatting. We're good to go. I'll be getting with Ms. Parham this next coming week. We'll get it out for bid. So we'll run it. Hopefully in November, we'll be coming back to the commission. I'm hoping somewhere in the either November meeting on the 18th or first meeting in December. And be moving forward with that project. The prepayment discount on the fire trucks is going to be 2.5% off of the total cost. So as soon as I get actually what that dollar amount is, we'll make a decision on which direction it's going to go. We can either apply total cost of vehicles, take it off, or we can do equipment. I should have all that buttoned up. I got to send some stuff to legal for their final review on the lease purchase stuff for the fire trucks. And then once I get the letter back to them saying it's good to go, meet the criteria, I should have that answer for you. Third well, I know there's been some questions where are we at on that. Financing is due to be back on 10/19. I should have it back to TFM on the 20th. I'm hoping to bring it to the commission at the final meeting in October on the 28th, I believe it is. And we'll pick which lender we're going to go with. Project's ready to roll. Everything's signed. We're just waiting on final funding at this point. Other than that, we got a couple grants we're working on. The one for the elevated storage tank. We just turned in the other two, which I believe I briefed you on the last commission meeting, for some infrastructure and roadway stuff. So we're just plugging away and trying to get it done.
I actually have something that is better than anything we've mentioned so far that I forgot to mention.
Oh, all right. Let's hear from you.
Yes. So we made a job offer to a woman named Yolanda Strong, and she holds an MBA and 2 bachelor's degrees. And her last employment was at the University of Florida, and she's worked for the county as well. And she has a very strong financial background. And she fits very well with the culture of the organization, is very forward and innovative. And I think she's going to be a wonderful fit and exactly what we need. So we're looking forward to her coming on staff.
Great. That's our controller person.
Finance director, right?
Yes, finance
That's a
director.
controller.
Yes. Well, that's part of her duties. So
That is good news.
Oh, yeah, like
That is
I'm
definitely good
gonna
news.
have a party the week she's done. I think we all are, because we've all had to take snippets. Like, it hasn't just been me. Bruce has done some, Jenny, Angela, they've taken people, the women downstairs have taken on some duties. So everyone, I think, is going to be very happy.
Very good. All right. All right. We're moving right along to announcements.
Commissioner Wheeler already mentioned the CRA presentation. I did want to also just say that went over very, very well. And Ashley and David and our consultant did a nice job with that. And there was a lot of positive comments, not only about that, but definitely supporting the #1 item on that list, which was rails to trails. So we appreciate the support, Commissioner Wheeler, and we'll continue to work on that. I did want to reinforce, it does look like I will be missing the meeting on the 28th. So just to let you know, I won't be here. And then the last thing I just wanted to comment on, as long as we're all here, I think the issue that was raised earlier by Commissioner Jones is really important. And we talked about this earlier after the superintendent had been here. I think we need to follow up with the school board, and maybe it's at the level right now where we ask for a joint meeting, and ideally here in the community, so that they have an opportunity to hear from us directly, but also citizens. It's not easy for everyone to go into town during the day to participate in a meeting, and there's enough demand from the people we serve that we try and move something forward with this. And I think that would be appropriate. And if other commissioners agree, then I'd like city staff to see what can be worked out.
We will.
That's it.
That's it.
First of all, I want to say thank you to staff for hearing all the good positive stuff on tonight. That's always a good thing, always. And I just want to say thank you to Commissioner Wheeler. I'm pronouncing it right? Commissioner Wheeler, thank you for looking out for us. And the project you're working on with the Lion Rock pit. Yeah, I got history right there too.
A lot of stuff here.
Yeah. Thank you, man. That's what I was about to say. That is Asbury Cemetery is out there, and my people are buried out there.
Definitely.
My mother went to school out there. My grandmother, they went to church out there. So that's a part of me. I had opportunity to get some land out there, but all I could think about was farming, and that was the last thing I wanted to do was farm again. Because I can remember the day. Yes, ma'am, because I can remember the days in the old truck we used to call nip. When we get to the gate, we can blow the horn. You can see the hogs are coming to get fed. I can remember the days when we used to grind sugar cane. And had an old mule, I can't remember his name. Had an old mule that used to grind the cane. Well, Bruce, by the time when that mule said he was tired.
He was tired.
He was tired. He wouldn't do nothing else. When he would not move, they used to beat him, but he wouldn't move. So I want to talk to you after the meeting about that area, because there's a lot of history out there in Asbury.
I'm learning that the Clarks that are out there, Dr. Clark and John Clark.
Yes.
And I've been no good friends and more good friends. But were you part of the middle school? Was the middle? We'll talk some more.
Okay. Now that was before my time. I ain't go to school out in Asbury. Now my parents went to school out there. That's all I have.
So you have? Right there.
I would like to thank Mary Helen for being here as well. It's nice to see her. I don't have, no, except for the CRA meeting. That was wonderful at the Board of County Commissioners. I watched it on TV, and I was so thrilled to see the response of the county commissioners. It was really, really nice, and Tom did a great job presenting it. So it was excellent. And I know a lot of hard work went into that, so it was good.
And we're going to be implementing it. It's not just gonna sit on a shelf. so.
All right.
And I'm standing because the chair hurts my legs, so we'll discuss that later.
That's it?
That's it.
All right, well, I too say thank you to Ms. Wheeler for coming and spend some time with us tonight. And thank you for all of the good things that you're doing for our benefit. We really do appreciate that.
And I want to say too, that I've been to the school a couple of times over there. They know me, and I've told them anytime that they have concerns, call me. Because I am connected to the school board there now. You know, I've worked with most of those people, and the ones that are new, I talk to kids. So, you know, I feel like that. And I've already started talking to them about the High Springs School up here too. Because what we're learning in the community, just because you move into a community doesn't mean you actually get to go to that school.
That's right.
To me, that breaks my heart. We need to work on that part. So I've already told them I think about that. I think they were sorry they put me on that.
Well, then we're glad.
Me too.
I know they made a point to mention that at the meeting, and they mentioned it several times to make sure we understood that your kid does not necessarily go to the
That's right.
neighborhood school.
Which is sad.
Mhm. Yes, indeed.
And that's where the problem for.
Mhm.
You can't have your kids going to their home school if you don't have community.
That's right. That's exactly
I'm
right.
sorry, I don't-
No, that's good. That's fine. Not a problem. But if nothing else, I'll entertain. All right.